When John Wick escapes from the subway, 3 black billboards in the background says, "Question the system. The only way out is to go through," and give them the lead first. All of these billboards allude to the story of John Wick. Number 2. All assassins in this film use a slider phone to receive kill contracts, and this actually demonstrates their position. For example, Winston holds a higher power in the Continental, and he is the only character to use a modern generation iPhone. Now John Wick also uses an iPhone, implying that he holds a higher power as well, and doesn't need any burner phones. Now I'm not saying there's a higher class and a lower class here, because everything in John Wick universe only costs 1 coin. Number 3. When Santino arrives at John's house, we can see a lot of bullet holes. Now obviously if you watched John Wick 1, there was a massive gunfight at this place, and the bullet holes from that fight are still in this movie, despite the fact that there was a 3 years time gap between these 2 films. Talk about continuity. And this brings my next detail, number 4. John asks Santino if he'd like to have some coffee.
Cafe?
Yes.
Now instead of reaching for the already brewed drip coffee, he pulls an espresso shot for his Italian guest. Number 5. Ruby Rose aka Eris was supposed to kill John Wick to get rid of the one loose end.
Loose ends? Yeah.
But after watching it in slow motion, I just found that she actually kills one of her henchmen in a crossfire in order to get to Wick. This little detail shows just how ruthless she is, that she only has one goal, which is to eliminate John Wick, regardless of whoever stands between them. The quicker her own henchman falls, the easier it would be for her to try and get a clean shot at the fleeing target. Number 6. John defeats the D'Antonio siblings' head bodyguards in the same way but with different outcomes. For Cassian, who is Gianna D'Antonio's bodyguard, John severs his aorta but keeps the knife in, therefore keeping Cassian alive. And Santino's bodyguard, aka Eris, is beaten the same way, but John removes the knife, thus killing her. Number 7. After John is done fighting Cassian, the announcer on the subway says this is the end of the line, relating to how their conflict has ended after John saved his life.
This is the end of the line.
Consider this a professional courtesy.
Number 8. The Bowery King gives John only 7 rounds with his Kimber 1911 pistol, which is a standard magazine size. Now here's the detail. During the museum fight scene, John Wick connects exactly 7 shots with this gun and then runs out. Number 9. John Wick used a rotary phone to let the management know that he'll be checking out soon. Now notice this is the same model phone that they used in The Matrix. Number 10. When Santino calls John Wick to give him his mission, he's overlooking a painting depicting the Italian Civil War, and the mission he gives to John Wick is to murder Santino's own sister. So an Italian is planning to kill another Italian while looking at an Italian Civil War painting. Number 11. After the first shootout in Rome, John slaps his chest, and if I slow down the speed, you'll notice the spent bullets his suit absorbed come loose. Number 12. Lawrence Fishburne, aka Bowery King, reminds John Wick of an encounter they had years ago, and he also told him that no one sneaks up on him anymore.
No one sneaks up on me anymore, thanks to you.
And in John Wick Chapter 3, we see that he already knew there were 2 guys standing behind him even without looking, and yelled to them, "Okay."
Okay.
My entire breakdown of John Wick Chapter 3 in 0.25x speed is coming very soon. Number 13. In the final fight, John Wick kills a bunch of Santino's men. At one point, he rolled and held a guy with his foot and ended up shooting him in the head. Now notice, Keanu Reeves deliberately made sure to hold his foot low enough on the back of this guy's head so that the bullet wouldn't go through this guy's head into his foot. Now obviously the gunshot was CG, but despite that, Keanu made sure to make it look realistic. Number 14. At the beginning of the film, when John visits Santino to ask about his mission, you can see John passes by one of the Bowery King's informants. Now did John just happen to walk by, or is it deliberately being watched? Later in the movie, we do see that the king has been tracking John's movements for a while.
I am all seeing, all knowing.
Then you know why I'm here.
Number 15. John Wick 1 and John Wick 2 are set 4 days apart, and the movies show this by having the same cars parked outside the Continental Hotel. The amount of continuity detail almost make it impossible to believe that both these movies were filmed 3 years apart. Number 16. Ruby Rose's character Eris is mute, yet we can audibly hear her shouts when she attacks. Number 17. Through this rewatch in slow motion, I just found something while editing this video. In both John Wick movies, John didn't let the main antagonist finish their sentences before killing them.
Yeah, Jonathan.
I guess you don't need to give John Wick an explanation when you screw him up. Number 18. John Wick's rifle has exactly 30 rounds in the magazine and 1 in the chamber. This is the most accurate portrayal of an AR model that I've ever seen in a movie. Number 19. John's shotgun has a cartridge mounted right in front of the ejector port, so he can quickly load 1 round directly into the receiver. Number 20. The tailor that John goes to for a new suit in Italy is played by Luca Mosca. Now the fun fact is that he's also the costume designer for the same film, so he not only designed John Wick's suit on screen but off-screen as well. Number 21. In the 45th second of the movie, there's a projection on a building showing a clip of Buster Keaton from Sherlock Jr. Now Buster Keaton is a pioneer of stunt performance in cinema, and the John Wick franchise is mostly about stunts. Even the director of this film used to be a stuntman, so this projection is an homage and a reference to the best stuntman ever. Number 22. In the opening sequence of this film, the billboards advertise watchmaker Carl F. Bucherer. Now John Wick wears a Bucherer watch in every film, so it's both an Easter egg and a product placement. Vigo and his brother described John Wick the exact same way, even following up with the story about the pencil.
John Wick is a man of focus.
John is a man of focus.
Commitment.
Commitment.
The sheer fucking will.
Sheer will.
Number 24. After John gets his car back, you can see the tag that still says 2014 from when the first movie was made and the last time we saw this car. Number 25. Now this detail has nothing to do with slow motion, but it's something that I observed throughout the course of this film. John Wick isn't only about action and stunts. The dialogues have more meaning than it usually sounds. For example, this scene.
You're not very good at retiring. I'm working on it.
Or this one.
He's offered $7 million for your life.
So I guess you have a choice. You want a war? Or do you want to just give me a gun?
This movie doesn't have the typical Hollywood drama in its story. It's an action thriller quite literally. No characters speak more words than they need to, nor do they speak less than we ought to be hearing. The screenplay tells you exactly what it is. If John needs a gun, he'll say he needs a gun. And if you ask John why he did something odd, he will properly answer as well.
What have you done?
Finished it.
Imagine if John Wick didn't say finished it in this scene. It wouldn't feel complete. But had he said something more, that would have taken away the fact that he just broke the biggest rule of the Continental. And that's the beauty of it. The suspense and the thrill are mixed so well together with action in this series that makes it almost second to none. And that's my breakdown of John Wick Chapter 2 at 0.25x speed, and I hope I was able to give you at least a few new details.